The gates of King's Landing are very often forgotten when talking about its history, overshadowed by the city itself, and well, the walls they are a part of. But the gates of King's Landing are not like any other city gates. Each has its own role to play in the history of King's Landing, some of them so huge, they contributed to some huge changes that happened over the last 300 years of Targaryen history. While the obvious function of a city gate is to allow passage in and out of a city through its walls, they are also as much of a key defensive structure as the walls themselves. Often, it is where different regiments of the City Watch are based, and where they keep much of their equipment. In the event of an attack, the opposing force will often be drawn to attack the city gates, as they are much easier to overcome than the solid stone walls. However, this also means the attackers must funnel much of their strength to attack this single location, opening them up to attacks from the defenders via archers with bows or burning oil pulled from the battlements, and even something as simple as a rock thrown from above. Other than being a defensive measure, gates are also used to control who comes and goes from a city, keeping undesirable characters out. They are key in controlling trade in and out of the city, with guards often inspecting goods passing through, and tax collectors collecting any money owed. The gates of King's Landing were built at the same time as the city walls themselves, which finished construction in 26 AC. But House Targaryen did everything with scale, and King's Landing would not just have 1 or 2 gates like most others, but 7, to honour the 7 gods of the faith. But even then these gates were like no other, not only huge, but some of them ornate and a marvel to observe. It was a statement of intent to show all those entering this new city the power of House Targaryen, that they would spend so much time and resources on a gateway. The mud gate was open, and a squad of city watchmen stood under the portcullis in their gold cloaks leaning on spears. When a column of riders appeared from the west, the guardsmen sprang into action, shouting commands and moving the craft and foot traffic aside to let the knights enter with his escort. The Thoughts of Eddard Stark, A Game of Thrones Chapter 27, Eddard 6. Historically, the River Gate is arguably the most relevant of the 7 gates of King's Landing, with it by far having the most documented history when compared to the others. It is named the River Gate due to its location on the banks of the Blackwater Rush, but it's also called the Mud Gate by the small folk due to the sheer amount of thick mud around the bank itself. The River Gate is near the centre of the southeast wall and connects to Fishmonger Square and the wharfs of the Blackwater Rush, making it a key access point for goods entering the city via Blackwater Bay. The Street of Steel begins at the Market Square beside the River Gate, and the River Row runs from the River Gate to the King's Gate. The fish market is found outside of the gate and is a maze of unorganised stalls selling fish from the bay. Opposite the River Gate, on the southern shore of the Blackwater, is the King's Road, which leads directly to Storm's End. There are a few common threads of the history of some of these gates. For example, in the reign of King Maegor, he had his own wife and queen, Alice Harroway, tortured to death by Tiana of the Tower, another one of his wives. Following her death, Alice's body was cut into 7 parts and mounted on spikes above each of the 7 gates of the city. 3 kings reigned over the city, each on his own hill, yet for their unfortunate subjects there was no law, no justice, no protection, no home was safe, nor any maiden's virtue. Grames the Munkin, in the true telling. Fire and Blood, the dying of the dragons. Rhaenyra overthrown. During the Dance of the Dragons, the Targaryen Civil War fought between 129 and 131 AC. There was a small battle at the River Gate during the fall of King's Landing to Rhaenyra Targaryen's Black faction. 13 Hightower Knights and around 100 men-at-arms held the River Gate from attack from both outside and inside of the city, but eventually the gate fell to the Blacks despite the heroic last stand of the Knights. Later into the Dance of the Dragons, as Rhaenyra began to lose control of King's Landing, a massive riot broke out in the city streets, with sailors unable to return to their ships. They attacked the River Gate. Sir Luther Largent, the Lord Commander of the City Watch, and 400 spearmen were eventually able to disperse the rioters, though the gate was badly damaged and hundreds of men were slain, including 25 gold cloaks. As these riots intensified, the banner of King Trystane Truefire one of the 3 pretender kings of the Moon of Madness, was raised above the river gate's battlements, and the bodies of its captains and all 3 of its sergeants were hung from the gatehouse. During the reign of King Aegon III, lessons would be learned from the Dance of the Dragons, specifically that the only reason the Hightower Knights were not able to hold the river gate was the fact they were attacked from outside the walls and inside the walls. Much was done to strengthen the interior defences of all of the gates. Interestingly, during the Lycene Spring, Rogerio Roger opened up a pillow house known as the Mermaid beside the river gate, which became very successful, and still is so with sailors to this day. By the time of the main books, we know that the river gate was under the command of Sir Jacelyn Bywater, who would later go on to replace Sir Janos Slynt as commander of the Goldcloaks at the start of the War of the Five Kings. It was known well before the battle that the river gate would play a huge part in the Battle of the Blackwater. In preparation for Stannis Baratheon's attack, Tyrion Lannister, the acting hand of the king, tours the riverfront. In preparation, carpenters extend the wooden hoardings from the battlements of the river gate, and 3 catapults are raised in the market square by the gate. During the battle itself, the Lannisters burn the riverfront and retreat through the river gate. King Joffrey Baratheon is at the gate with Tyrion and his Kingsguard, with the king encouraging the archers on the hoardings. The river gate is assaulted with a battering ram by the army of Stannis. But when Sir Osmond Kettleblack informs Queen Regent Cersei Lannister that the gate is under attack, Cersei orders that Joffrey be brought back to the Red Keep. Tyrion and Sir Mandon Moore ride to the river gate after defending the King's Gate. Ultimately, the river gate stands and Stannis is defeated. The funeral procession departed King's Landing through the Gate of the Gods, wider and more splendid than the Lion Gate. The choice felt wrong to Jaime. His father had been a lion, that no one could deny, but even Lord Tywin never claimed to be a god. The Thoughts of Jaime Lannister, A Feast for Crows, Chapter 16, Jaime 2. The Lion Gate is located near the centre of the southwest wall of King's Landing, with the Gold Road to Lannisport in the Westerlands starting at the gate. It is believed this is where the gate gets its name from, given the sigil of House Lannister is a lion. The Lion Gate is much narrower and less ornate than some of the other gates in the city. The Goldcloaks who are stationed at the Lion's Gate are known as Lions. It's assumed the men stationed at the other gates go by their own name, but we do not know if this is an unofficial name or something official within the City Watch itself. In 55 AC, we know that the field west of the Lion Gate was used to host the tourney to mark the completion of the construction of the Dragon Pit, thus was likely used a lot during this time period. It also played a slightly different role during the Dance of the Dragons than the River Gate or the King's Gate. The men of the City Watch stationed there, rather than defend the gate during the riots of the Moon of Madness, abandoned their post and joined with the rioters themselves. The Lion Gate plays little role in the main books, but after the funeral of Tywin Lannister, Lord Giles Rosby tells Queen Regent Cersei Lannister that he's hired a master stonecarver to sculpt a statue of her father by the Lion Gate. The entire fish market is gone, and both the River Gate and the King's Gate are splintered from the battering Stannis gave them and should be replaced. I shudder to think of the cost. You will find whatever gold is required. Tywin Lannister to Tyrion Lannister. A Storm of Swords, Chapter 32, Tyrion 4. The King's Gate shares a similar history with the River Gate, but with some minor differences. The King's Gate is located by the southern corner of the southwest wall, connecting the western end of the River Row to the tourney grounds outside the city walls by the Blackwater Rush. During the Dance of the Dragon, it was one of the gates captured by Sir Perkin the Flea on behalf of Trystane Truefire during the Moon of Madness. Like the River Gate, it was then improved by Sir Tyrion Lannister during the reign of King Aegon III, to prevent it from being attacked from within the city. During the Battle of the Blackwater, it was the second most important location to defend due to its location near the Blackwater Rush. It was assaulted by Stannis' men, but the River Gate was the main focal point of the attack, thus the King's Gate was much more easily defended. The Gate of the Gods is located at the western corner of the walls of King's Landing. The King's Road enters the city from the north at the Gate of the Gods. The gate can be seen from the Broken Anvil, a famous inn near the city walls. There are detailed carving of the Seven on the gatehouse and over the portcullis, with eyes that seem to follow you as you enter the gate. During the Dance of the Dragons, the gate did not fall during the Moon of Madness or during the riots, but after the black victory by the lads at the Battle of the King's Road, the lads met with Lord Corlys Velaryon and Aegon the Younger outside the gate for peace talks before entering the city. During the regency of King Aegon III in 135 AC, the commander of the City Watch, Sir Lucas Lagood, was implicated in a plot against the wife of Prince Viserys, Lara Rogaire. When men came to arrest him, Sir Lucas refused to go meekly and was killed along with 8 others in a savage fight at the Gate of the God. The Dragon Gate is located at the northern corner of the city walls near Rhaenys' Hill. Like the other gates, during the Dance of the Dragons, massive riots broke out in the city prior to the Moon of Madness. The captain of the Old Gate and the Dragon Gate, Sir Balon Birch and Sir Garth the Harelip, managed to sally out and restore some semblance of order to the streets north and east of Rhaenys' Hill. While it was a short peace, it was enough time for Queen Rhaenyra and her small escort to flee the city via the Dragon Gate. After the War of the Five Kings in the main books, we also know that the captain of the Dragon Gate, Humphrey Waters, is named the new Lord Commander at the City Watch of King's Landing. The Iron Gate is located on the northeast wall of the city and connects the Rosby Road heading northeast to Rosby along Blackwater Bay. It shares a similar role to the other gates during the Dance of the Dragons, the key difference being the captain of the gate, Sir Medric Manderley, sallied out and restored some order to the area northeast of Aegon's Hill, to the Iron Gate. Janos Slynt, who is a Lord Commander of the Goldcloaks at the start of the main books, was captain of the Iron Gate when he was promoted to Lord Commander by the hand of the King, Jon Arryn, after the death of the old Commander, Manly Stokeworth. We also learn during the War of Five Kings, Tyrion Lannister has his lover, Shae, hidden in a manse near the Iron Gate. During the Battle of the Blackwater, mobs fight to escape the city at the Iron Gate and Gate of the Gods. After deserting the battle, Sandor Clegane considers also leaving through the Iron Gate. The Old Gate is the gate we know least about. It's located near the centre of the northwestern wall, near Rhaenys' Hill. The only unique part of its history comes during the early stages of the Dance of the Dragons. Lord Staunton's head was taken to King's Landing after the Battle of Rook's Rest and mounted above the Old Gate.